Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad, yeah. I'm Daniel. Thank you so much for having me on Autistic Radio today. I'm honestly buzzing to be here. I'm 16, I'm from Liverpool, and I run a podcast called the Danifesto. It's basically me talking about life, autism, ADHD, growing up, and all the stuff nobody explains properly. I try to keep it real, I try not to edit much. I try not to have any filters and no fake positivity. And that is why I love being here, because, this feels like, real and genuine. School hasn't always been easy. Primary school was really rough and people didn't understand me.
What do you think it's possible for us to do for you? Because the way I look at it, this is a really unequal relationship because we'll probably get more from you than you get from us.
To be honest, whatever you have to offer, yeah.
A real big asset. It feels to me as though you have some really important USP, a real big asset. I haven't come across anybody who is willing to talk about the experience of somebody your age and around your age. No doubt you can talk for people a little bit younger than you and a little bit older than you as well and add to that. I think that's a really important thing that you have there.
Thank you very much.
I think the other thing is the reason that we're talking now is because a lady called Kit grabbed hold of me at a conference and said, wow, you've got to speak to this Dan. And she was really blown away. And then they say, you got to hear about Dan because Dan's got this thing going. So that's a lovely thing for you. And I'm really happy that that's happening. You've just had that little bit of opportunity that people need. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I just want to help people, So if they listen to my podcast and it sounds like them, that they're not alone and it's not them being difficult. It's the environment that they're surrounded in and they don't understand them properly.
You're impressive. You're a really bright guy.
Thank you very much.
I was 16 once, but it was a fucking long time ago, mate. I'm 60 now. I remember being incredibly angry. If you look at my school photograph from back in the 1980s, or end of the 70s, you will see a young man of 14, 15, 16 staring down the camera and defying it, in a kind of sneering attitude. And I'm coming across you, and you're none of that. You're really together. You're in a. Other people tell you this, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't used to be like this. I used to be unsettled 24/7, and I reckon it's because of the school. Most of it is because of the school I went to. I not recently, about 4 years ago, joined an SEN school, and it's changed my life, really. I just feel a lot more calmer and just more easygoing.
Have they drugged you up as well?
They tried to. So they wanted me to take medication. I took it for a bit, but the first day I took it, I had like a little seizure. So that wasn't really the best experience for me. But then I took my medication. For 2 years I took my medication for, and it made me feel depressed and really low. And could I take an hour taxi? So I used to have it in the morning, then at lunchtime, and then it used to drop down in the taxi, and it used to cause like mood drops, meltdown, me feeling hungry because it put off my appetite in the day, and it just wasn't very pleasurable to take. So I stopped.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the drugs that get offered are without value, because I know that some of my colleagues are, using the drugs that are prescribed to them, especially those who also identify as ADHD. But I do have a fear that if people receive these kind of medications, these real strong things early on in their career as an autistic man, then, or their existence as an autistic man, it kind of skews everything. And I'm seeing that you're kind of raw dogging it, but just because I'm saying, hey, I'm glad that you're raw dogging it now, doesn't mean that in the future it might not be useful. I'm not trying to give you any, prejudiced bad advice here in any way.
Yeah. Medication wasn't for me, but for some people, I think it really helps.
I'm not sure about that yet. I have to say that as a kind of line that, I'm open to the idea that it does help people, and rarely and occasionally some people do say that it got them over something, a respite from something. But there's a lot of it out there, and I find that they scare me, all these mind-altering substances that seem so strong in the medicine tablet.
Yeah, 100%. Because I've only been around people who have took medication and they're still under 18. I haven't been around people who are over 18, and that what it can affect in the long term.
I think the possibility is that we can learn from each other. If we just, instead of giving each other advice, if we just share, tell each other how we do things, and then give each other the opportunity to think, oh, that's something that is working for that person, we'll copy it or we'll use it, or vice versa. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think the other thing you need to keep is your uniqueness, your independence. You don't want to hang your hook on somebody else. You want to have your own hook and make sure that you're in control of what you're doing, whether it's a short-term or a long-term art project. It has to be from you, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm saying these things out loud so that you know that I know them, if you know what I mean. It's not telling you anything you don't know.
No, yeah.
Cool. What's your method so far? How do you go about things when you're thinking about a subject or a person to speak to?
I don't honestly know. I just go in open-minded.
Do you do a lot of research then?
Bits and bobs. Just do a bit of research, do some points, and get some questions down. Yeah.
My method's different because I don't do any research.
No, you go in blind, yeah.
I go in completely blind. It doesn't always work. There's a balance, isn't there? If you have somewhere to start from because you've done the research, that can, in some circumstances, mean people just follow a whole thing. But the other alternative of just going in and then following on from what the person said last and then just keep adding to the same theme can break down. So the middle way, I suppose, is to go in with some research and then adapt in the moment, go with the person. Is that kind of where you're aiming?
Yeah, so when I go in, I normally have an iPad or something with like bullet points at the top. So it says like an intro, and then it's like a time management. So it's like intro and a bit about them, then a bit about me, and then when I can relate to stuff and that. So it gives me stuff to go from, and then I pick up from it.
Yeah, I do it differently to that. I usually press the record button, and then I speak with the person until their voice warms up, until they're confident to speak out. That happens with a professional as well. And then I usually have framed something in that first bit that tells the listener who they are or whatever, naturally. And then I introduce the person in a formal way. So then I say to them, and now I'll do an introduction for you. And I go off and I do the introduction, and then they speak from there. So hopefully when they speak from there, their voice is already warmed up and they're ready and they're used to it. But I will usually use something from before that, like an outtake. So the listener, when they hear us, they kind of think, oh, they're just talking amongst themselves. And then, quick, what are they on about? And then it's introduced. So that's a difference. That's a different way of doing it. But originally it annoyed most of the people that worked with because it wasn't conventional.
Yeah, because I normally, if let's say I'm doing someone, I do a bit of research, or I have in my head or on paper what they do as a job, so I can ask them questions about it and make conversation with it.
Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to do an introduction to you now. And I'm going to suggest that we make a podcast about you and about your podcast, and we send people in your direction. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Let's go for it.
Amazing. Ready when you are.
Oh, remember that this is all edited. So
Okay.
if you start a sentence and you realise you should have started it somewhere else, just stop, allow me to cut that bit out, and then say the thing again. And do it as many times as you like.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, and also if the dog barks in the background or something and you hear it, or you do something like I've just done, rewind, start the sentence again, so I can just cut the bit out with the coughing. Yeah? It's not
Amazing, yeah.
It's not a normal conversation, it's a constructive conversation. And the other thing is you will hear me go silent, possibly for 4 seconds, possibly for 30 seconds, but that's just me thinking. That just bear with it, yeah?
Yeah. How is it going to work? Or are you going to ask me questions, or are we just going to have a conversation with it?
We're just going to see what happens.
All right.
Hello and welcome back to Autistic Radio. It's lovely when you come across a new voice, a new autistic voice that is saying something different about the experience of autism from what we can do on our own. And one of those new voices is Dan of the Danifesto. Dan has a new podcast that covers areas that are hazy in the past from me. School days, being young, being free, being out there, being autistic and young. Welcome to Autistic Radio today. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing amazing, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honestly buzzing to be here, yeah.
Well, it's exciting to know that your voice will be out there and other people will be hearing you. And some of those people out there are going to be surprised that you're such a young person.
I'm Daniel Evans. I'm 16 and I've proper struggled in school, and I just want other people my age who can relate to me and see if I can try and help them in any way.
So, am I reading it right that the Danifesto is a way for a person at your age can speak to other people of your age who might identify with autism through your experience?
Yeah, you are. I just want other people to get in contact with me if I can try and help them in any way, or I can get someone else who is knowledgeable in a type of area and then get someone else who needs help in that type of area and match them up. I just want to help people to have a good childhood.
Have you always had a good childhood, Dan?
I've tried to be given a good childhood. I've been really fortunate with my parents. They've been absolutely amazing for me. They've tried to help me in many ways possible, but they couldn't get the environment right for me in school and that.
All good at home, but it was the school that was the issue for you when you were first assigned to school.
Yeah, home was a bit of a struggle as well, and school was a bit of a struggle. Everything was just a bit of a struggle. No one really understood me, but definitely my mum, went out her way and learned about my brain and really tried to understand me and help me in any way possible.
So your story is one more about the understanding or the realisation of autism as a young person primarily.
Yeah, autism and ADHD and neurodivergent people. Just I want to give advice to parents, teachers and kids, on how to help everyone.
Yeah, it's a real worthy aim, that, giving advice, isn't it? Problem is, my experience of life is that even when you want to give advice, the timing is a crucial thing, and the format and the opportunity has to come. It's very difficult if you feel as though you have advice to give to find people receptive to. Is that why you started a podcast?
Yeah, I started a podcast, and hopefully with my podcast I'll have different names of the podcast, the title, so if anyone's struggling in that department, they can direct themselves to the title.
You're building up a library of experience on different subjects by speaking to different people. Are you finding the people receptive to come on your podcast and have that conversation? Do you find them easily?
Some people come to me, and there's some people who I would like to reach out. I want to reach out to famous people to see if they'll try and I can build my fan base. And also, the more fan base I build, the more people who has similar needs to me will be able to find me.
Where do people find you right now? Where can they listen to the Danifesto?
You can listen to me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube.
You've started this podcast recently, and it's a big undertaking. How's that gone for you?
It's been steady because I've still got my GCSEs in school. So I'm trying to balance that out with the podcast and try and keep everyone happy. But yeah, I'm just using what I've got with me equipment and just trying to put together something that people can relate to and people can watch and enjoy.
I'm looking at your Danifesto. You've got Kit Messenger, which you got down to 21 minutes. That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Danifesto, the place where real talk actually means real talk. I'm Dan. This channel is all about my life, ADHD brain, the stuff nobody explains properly, and conversations that actually matter. Expect honesty, humour, chaos, the good kind, and stories from my world. School, family, growing up in Liverpool, and everything in between. Podcast, ADHD, plus life experience. Real conversation, unfiltered moments, creative project, bullseye. Sign up to follow it. There's a story behind you. Story is something that a lot of people your age, a little bit older than you, will relate to. It's about how you started in one environment and moved on to a different environment that was more suitable. What changed?
The school, it was smaller classes, so less overwhelming, and people actually talk to you like human. The teachers, they understood my brain a bit better, and they didn't judge. They explained things that actually made sense for me. And yeah, it was just a lot better with the environment. I felt a lot more safe.
This is moving from mainstream school to SEN or special educational
that's
needs
right.
provision. What are the main differences? You've said you feel safer and you feel understood.
I think it was a bit of me growing up, being more responsible. And yet, with it being a smaller school really helped. And the teachers as well, they really understood me. So yeah. The main difference now was they don't jump to conclusion. They don't point fingers. And they don't judge. So instead of going straight to consequences, they'll sort out what happened and try to dumb it down, if that makes sense, and try and find a solution that it will never happen again, instead of just punishment.
Did you feel in mainstream education that punishment
Yeah,
where
all
you
the
ended
time.
up?
I made a mistake. I would try my best, but go to the head teacher's office, go outside the classroom, because there was one time in mainstream where it was primary school, so they were all sitting on tables together, and it was just me on the back, on my own, all by myself. So they wanted me out the way.
Trying to drill down into this with you, Dan. The picture you've painted is that in mainstream school, people didn't have enough time. There were too many people for the teachers to consider dealing with you individually. So you became somebody who was in trouble and slightly excluded. Have I picked the picture right?
Yes, exactly right. To too many people, for the teachers to, say well done to everyone, and they just excluded me.
So it was the pressure that the staff were under that meant that you were edged out of the situation. And now in your new school, you have the luxury of more staff as a ratio to pupil, but also you feel as though there's a difference in attitude from the teachers.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely in the school that I'm at now, turning point. The attitude on the teachers and everything. Right now in my class, I've got about six people in my class, and with 2 staff members. So yeah, it's just a lot better.
Do you think it would be possible to take some of the knowledge and attitude that comes from the people in this new school and insert it into the old environment with the same amount of pupils? Is that possible?
Definitely. And that's what I'm trying to do with my podcast. Like if teachers came in with the right mindset and knew which people, to help, all that, not just excluding them and moving them to the side, I think it would just help everyone. So yeah, that's part of my podcast, and I'm trying to teach teachers. Will help them and give them advice.
So you think a teacher listening to your podcast and listening to the authentic experience of somebody in your position might give them flashbulb moments of inspiration that they can take back to what is a less than ideal environment?
Hopefully, yeah. Just with me talking and giving my experience, it might go, I just go straight to discipline, straight to go out of the classroom, And also what really doesn't help in mainstream is there's hardly any motion breaks. So in the school I'm at now, if I need 5 minutes, I just say, and they will let me have 5 minutes to just go out and, regulate myself.
I think you can possibly see where I'm pointing with, because in our society at the moment, there's a whole backlash about special education needs provision, because the cost as it has been provided in the conventional ways up until now is unsustainable. The number of people who now identify as autistic or ADHD is far outside the original estimate, and the whole system is struggling. Local government is struggling under the debt and cost that special educational needs produces here in the UK and possibly in other countries around the world. If it was possible for enough knowledge from people like yourself, people who have recently experienced the educational system, to inform the teachers who are already in the system, do you think that is a way forward rather than the increase in special educational needs provision that is going to be available to a small number of people but not the majority?
Yeah, it's getting out of hand and quite expensive for the local governments to have all these different schools that the local governments are paying. But yeah, it would be nice if most kids would take advantage if they give them 5 minutes to go out and have a motion break or stuff in the classroom that will help with people with special needs.
That's interesting. One of the things that you find helpful, the ability to take a break, regulate your own emotions, then return to the classroom, is something that you really value in your SEN school. But you've just said that if that was introduced to mainstream, it would be difficult because it would be abused by the rest of the pupils. So maybe you're saying it isn't possible.
It would be nice to be possible, but I reckon in this day and age, with most people taking advantage of going out, having no lesson time, I think it's not looking good for that.
So we're going to end up in a bit of an apartheid situation, aren't we, Daniel? We're going to end up with more and more people being removed from conventional schooling, and there not being the places for them in special educational needs provision because society says that they're unwilling to put the money into them, which is going to mean more and more people who are autistic and ADHD falling out of education altogether.
People won't end up being in school, and that could affect their future if they don't get the qualifications they need to get a job. So yeah, it's just hard and difficult to definitely put your finger on it and estimate what's going to happen in the near future.
In your new school, with a smaller class size and specially trained teachers who deal with things head on, as you say, have the skills to do so, training course, the cost of that must be the equivalent of sending you to Eton.
Yeah, it really is. It's really expensive, but some people just need it. And it would be good if these SEN schools got even bigger and had the same size, if not bigger, as a mainstream with all these different classes. But again, with the funds, it just seems impossible.
most people like yourself who have a passion for podcasts to address the issues that affect themselves foremost are usually reaching out to people in similar situations. Do you see your listenership being the people of your age, or also the professionals who are working with people, looking for hints and tips to just bring a tiny bit more enlightened practice into their current situation? Because whilst we've described a very difficult situation, there have to be small things that make big difference.
Yeah. I would love to have all kinds of ages and professionals come and listen to my podcast. Hopefully I can give them some tips and some idea of what they can do to try and help a kid in their class, or even to help themselves in a classroom environment.
So perhaps you imagine a teacher who has a difficulty in their classroom listening to a podcast where you address the problem and finding some reassurance or some solace.
I'm not like a magic genie. I can't just magic up a solution to everything. But if I've experienced it, I'll just share my experience and what could have been better in that time. I can't promise that I'll fix everything, every problem, because I just can't. So if someone has a problem, they can message me or contact me in the podcast. And then if I've been through that, I can say, oh yeah, I've been through that. It's quite difficult. Or if I can't, if I haven't been through that, then I can try and find someone else who has, or try and redirect them to somewhere that they can get some advice from.
Well, Danielle, I'm looking forward to hearing more from your podcast. I know that when I sent the link round to my colleagues, it has been listened to by us. Let's put a call out right now and say, if you are a young person, around about Dan's age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, and you have an experience of the school system, either SEN provision or regular provision, contact Dan and have a word with him. Add your voices to Dan's project. What I think Dan will be doing over the next little while is recording the genuine, authentic thoughts of people who are in the system right now, and by listening, we can often find imaginative solutions that don't cost the world, that are just slight changes in accommodation, so that the kids who are autistic and ADHD in the mainstream and also in SEN get their best opportunity from life. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for coming and speaking to us about your project.
No, thank you. Pleasure for having me. Yeah, thank you very much.
Short Introductions 2 is sponsored by Coldpack, coldpack.co.uk. If you're a practitioner who needs cryotherapy for their patients as an osteopath, chiropractor, a physiotherapist, coldpack.co.uk has a solution for you, and we benefit here at Autistic Radio and Autistic Association from your purchase. In the same way that an end user could use the same website, everything you spend is a donation.
We speak, our words, we listen.
We speak. Our words, we listen.
We speak. Our words, we listen.
We speak. Our words, we listen.